you know, whatever can go wrong will go wrong. And you know what I ended up doing? I ended up making a video and then ended up inadvertently deleting it. And that pissed me off. So now here I am again to re-record what I wrote, I mean, what I did before the first time. But luckily, you know, I was keeping notes, meaning I had written down things that were going on in my thoughts. And this is the reason why it's easy for me to go ahead and remake this video to the best of my ability. Mainly because, like I said, I wrote down what I was going to talk about, not like as a script, but just like key points I wanted to talk about. And so luckily I saved those. So good for me. So anyway, the video I would say was mostly talking about me and my views, you know, kind of fine tuning why I feel the way that I do. Now, of course, I did do a my illuminated path video, and that's pretty much it. I'm basically regurgitating the same thing I did, but I'm just giving you examples of like certain scenarios and what made me feel like I needed to create the world that I needed to live in. You know, I think a lot of people know, based on my experience, that I was dealing with being a targeted individual. And the whole thing unfolded, and I don't need to go into it, okay? Yeah, that's like over 1,400 videos that I've done on this subject. But, you know, I was thinking a lot. In my first video that I made this morning, I started off talking about what I believe security, the kind of security that I think people need here in the United States, okay? And, you know, in other parts of the world. I would say that, you know, being a targeted individual, jobs, companies posting fake job ads and stuff like that, that I'm pretty sure that's not just limited to the United States, okay? But, you know, I know that uh, when I think about how to protect the citizens in the United States of further trauma, of dealing with things like gang stalking in general when it comes to, um, you know, the workplace, and also dealing with things like, you know, people doing these fake kingdom marriages type thing. This would help, or well, could help, maybe, you know, I don't know. I know that there's certain agencies that are supposed to monitor employment practices. Like, you know, I don't know exactly what like EEOC does specifically. I do understand they kind of restate the guidelines of hiring practices. But I'm just saying is if there was a way that these sort of organizations could get more involved as far as like monitoring certain proof, like documents, to make sure that employers are actually hiring people correctly. Now, if it's not the EEOC, then it should be some other sort of agency that's making sure that this doesn't happen. Okay, there to me, this is something that needs to be tackled because it's helping create or it's perpetuating the problem of human trafficking, targeted individuals, forced marriages, etc. Okay, so like it would. This is how I would think the system could work. Okay, it would be like, you know, like let's say for example a accounting agency puts a job in, posts a job on Indeed.com, right? And so, and they do this in the month of April, okay? So let's say a year goes by and then the EEOC or some other agency comes to that company and says, okay, can I see all the advertisements for job postings that you posted this year? Okay? And so they'll show the job posting. Did you hire that? Did there was any hirings occur? Okay? Yes, we did hire this person, and you know, you can talk about the person or say that we hired this particular individual. Okay, if they ended up retracting that particular job posting, okay, then they should be able to supply reasons as to why. Okay, this way it kind of helps ensure that job manipulation is not continuing on. Okay, there's a lot of things that go on in this country that I have been very quiet about. Why? Because I feel as though I've never believed in the system, ever, ever. See, and there's a difference between respecting the system and not believing in it. Okay, I believe that, you know, these people have been running, you know, the country the way it's been running, whatever it is. Okay, do I support it? Do I believe it? Do I think it's right? Is it good for everyone? Does it really give us fulfillment? Have we gotten what I was told that we were supposed to get, or how the life structure that people are supposed to be entitled to in this country? I have never experienced that, and I think there's a lot of people, and white people too, who are saying the same thing. Okay, so no, I've never been happy with it, and I've never voted, and I stayed the hell out of it. Okay, Why? Because I never really see where people are doing anything for the best interest of people. So I get it. We live in a greedy society. Fine. And the only thing I can do is try to protect myself. Okay? Because all I ever see outside of myself is a bunch of brainwashed people who eat and follow and just like, completely believe in anything. These people literally let themselves be led to the slaughter. And this is something I've noticed for a very long time. And this is one of the reasons why I decided to break away from society and create my own philosophy within the guidelines of the law. I have the right to. Okay, I have the right to not, believe in everything that I hear. I have the right to make certain choices. I have the right to not have religion in my life. Okay, now, so when it comes to, what's going on in the job market, I'm sitting here looking at the reason why all this stuff runs rampant is because there's no checks and balances. Okay, and there's supposed to be checks and balances if something is to work well. There should be agencies that monitor that sort of stuff. Okay, it could be done on an annual basis, or it could be done on a as you post. If an employer posts a job, then there should be some sort of, maybe they could send that employment post to that particular agency. Okay, and they have a certain amount of time to fill it, or once they do fill it, they let that agency know, okay, that job is closed. That way, people know, hey, you know what, we're not fucking around. Okay, no one's sitting here trying to do this kingdom spouse stuff. There is no more human trafficking. There is no more whatever. I mean, there's nothing wrong with people, finding jobs for other people, okay? But if they're doing it because they have some sort of goal in mind, which is usually based on marriage or something like that, it cannot do that, okay? That would help reduce fraudulent employment setups, okay? That way, it also would help people from getting stuck in jobs to where they get like trafficked and they get to work for a job for a year. And this is the sad part. A lot of people who don't realize that they're victims of human trafficking, what they'll do is they think, oh, everything's going great on the job. So then they start building their life on this job that is built on a foundation that's meant to collapse. Okay? Like, let's just say, for example, I would have been dumb enough to think that my job was going to be safe and secure over at BG Trucking. Okay? Because it was a decent paying job. So let's just say, for example, because I knew not to sit here and overspend. I knew it. I knew it was bullshit, okay? So I knew to be careful, okay? But let's just say I was somebody else who didn't understand how the program works, okay? So I'm thinking, the innocent person would be thinking, oh, I'm making good money now. Okay, well, now I can expand. Okay, some people would have built their next stage of life by working on that job because they were being deceived. So they might have thought, okay, I'm going to go ahead and buy a house. I can go ahead and get a car. Maybe I could go ahead and some people might have ended up getting married, having children, building an entire life built on a job that was meant to collapse. Okay? So I'm saying is, this is a big problem with a lot of people. What is the United States going to do about it? Right? What are they going to do about it? What is EEOC going to do about it? Or any other agency that's supposed to govern the employment, equal opportunity employment. What are you fucking going to do about it? Nothing, right? I hope they do, because I keep getting these messages that there's supposed to be all these sort of laws and stuff in place that's going to sit here and protect people intuitively, okay? Apparently, I'm getting these ideas in my head, and it's been talked about or mentioned circulating in my head in the last few months. I mentioned it in some of my videos. So, I mean, do these people know what they're supposed to do in order to eliminate the stuff so that people can actually have a chance in this world? Or maybe there is no point there really is no intention of making people have any sort of existence or positive existence in the world. Do people have their little secret agendas? Seems like the white supremacists do. I don't know. I'm just saying is, if I was somebody who was supposed to be in charge of society, and I wanted to make the society run well, an oiled machine, like an oiled machine, then I would have my checks and balances and my systems in place. Okay? I'm not going to be doing things that's going to operate behind the scenes that's going to benefit a certain group of people. This is exactly what this is going on right now. Okay? And I'm not saying that targeted individuals only consist of black people, because they don't. Okay, there's all kinds of people. There's women who are all by themselves. There are women. There's men. There's black. There's white. There's all kinds of targeted individuals being placed in a modern day Holocaust. Okay, because of nitty bitty reasons. You know what I mean? Reasons that don't necessarily go against the law. It's more of basically a matter of personal preference. You know what I mean? Maybe a lady might have saw a woman in her own backyard swimming in her swimming pool, looking good in her bikini. And because this nosy bitch is sitting here looking at this woman swimming in her swimming pool, looking good in her bikini, oh, she looks good. She's secretly jealous. She's going to sit here and call her little neighborhood watch people and put her on a watch list. This is the shit the people are doing. Okay? And see, when it comes to employment, how is she going to be protected for doing something she has every right to do in her own backyard? It's her choice. It's her life. It's her swimming pool. Okay? It's her body. It's her bikini. And you've got people playing these genocide games. What is the fucking United States going to do about it? Now, I was thinking when I was little, growing up in Lancaster. And I'm not the only person who said this. I think there's a lot of people of color, and not just black people, who've talked about when they grew up and how they saw white people and how white people have always made them try to feel bad about themselves, and we fell for it. Hold on a sinker, okay? We always knew that all the TV shows that showed any sort of positive things or whatever, everything was always portrayed as white. This is not me in any way downgrading white people, okay? But what happens is, because most people are separated from their culture, and white culture has always been glamorized and made to look like, it's the only way. You know what I mean? Like, you have, whiteness was always rightness, okay? And so, they made you feel excluded, they made you feel whatever, and so it was always like a lot of minority people dealt with issues relating to them not feeling like they were a part of a group or whatever. You know what I mean? Being able to associate, simulate. And then I think a lot of people, when I was younger, I'm thinking about how I felt about myself. Like, when I looked in the mirror, was I happy with myself? I would say, when I was younger, did I ever want to be white? Did I ever want to have white skin? Maybe when I was really, 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 really little. Like, I remember watching the Brady Bunch and thinking, Cindy Brady, I wish I could have swapped places with Cindy Brady when I was a kid, okay? But when I got older, I can't say that I ever wanted to be white. But I did want to be able to go to school and have a normal life like everybody else. So I guess in order to have a normal life in school, to have a decent chance in life, I guess the only way you could have done that is to be white. Because they made sure it was that way. Okay? And as a matter of fact, they chased me out of school and made my life a living hell. And because these demonic people were the way that they were, and they liked torturing people, they followed me throughout my adult life as well. Now, this is, like I said, when I talk about this issue, I am not sitting here trying to blame every single white person. But, like I said, a lot of white people got involved in it. That's what I'm going to say. Okay? And because white people have always gotten away with calling me the N-word and doing whatever thing they do, because they wanted to instill a feeling of self-hatred in people. Okay? And I knew an Asian girl who basically was telling me that she felt the same way. She always felt like, she felt like she needed to be, like, more white, right? And I remember she and I were talking one time. And we were she was talking about this guy that was going to her college. And she was like, he's just, he's American, and he's just normal. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? And she said, oh, he's white. I said, well, I mean, okay. American is our nationality. But see, the way that she was explaining it, it almost seems like he was the only American, and when she said normal, she really did believe that being white was the only form of normalcy. Okay, and this is because they sent you subtle signs of inferiority through commercialism, through TV, through magazines, through sex symbols that were considered beautiful. It was always like, don't get me wrong, I thought Farrah Fawcett rocked that hair. Okay, Farrah Fawcett was beautiful. Okay, and I'm not getting me wrong, there was a lot of white women that I grew up looking at and that thought they were beautiful. Okay, but these were the women that were supposed to be glorified. So they never really showed, minority women or well, they did. There were some. Okay, there were some. I remember Jane Kennedy. I thought she was beautiful. I remember thinking Marilyn McCoo was fucking a goddess. Okay, there were some. Okay, but still, okay, it was still far more emphasis on whiteness than you could ever imagine, which caused a lot of negative feelings towards people who were minorities, especially if you were trying to assimilate into an all-white school. Right? Now, I will say when I was growing up, I was exposed to the same things that most white people were exposed to. I grew up listening to country music because my dad liked country music. Okay? Yes, he did. And yes, black people sang country music. And yes, black people were country. And yes, black people were cowboys. And it's hysterical. It's historical. Unfortunately, because white people were the right people and only taught their history and botched that history on top of it, never taught anybody else's history, then we were supposed to be felt like we were nothing. Anybody outside of the white spectrum was nothing. That was the way it was. Okay? So what white people resented about me is the fact that I ended up loving myself. Okay? And I didn't need their fucking approval. That's what pissed them off. Okay? So it's not that I hate white people, because I don't. And I think that, and I'm still somebody who's very respectful towards human life, and I believe that people have the right to be here. Okay? So I'm not the one who caused the problem. Okay, now, I was thinking about the girl over at Murray Family Farms, okay, and at the time, we had a particular, I don't know who was in the president of the country when I got in office, okay, it was between, could have been either Obama, could have been Trump, I don't remember, okay, I don't remember who was the president at the time. Okay, but I do believe that these people were aware of this issue that went over at Murray Family Farms. And this particular girl, Selena Bruce, was used, possibly by Bruce's family or whatever, to try to pit themselves against me. I don't know who this girl was, okay? But at first, I got along with her, and then she started, trying to, be in a competition with me. Now, the thing is that this girl was a lot younger than me, and for some reason, I believe or suspect that she ended up with my ex-husband. I don't know why I keep thinking this, but there's a possibility, okay? Now, the reason why I know that this is about race is because I was way older than this woman. It's like, what in the world could we possibly, what is it that you're comparing? I wouldn't think to compare apples and oranges, okay? Karen Go is the mayor of this town. If we were supposed to have some sort of contest, when it comes to, I don't know, something that's based on her skills, would you compare these two people that have no comparison? There's no comparison. Let's just say, for example, I don't know, you know what I'm talking about. When it comes to beauty, okay, I'm sure Karen Go is beautiful. But what I'm saying is, it's okay, this girl Selena was maybe 20 something years younger than me, okay, and I guess I'm full-blown black, except for I have a small amount of Greek blood in me. And then I believe that Selena had European blood in her. Okay, so this was about a competition about race, period. And the reason why I was bringing up Karen Go is because we're about the same age, and I was thinking, okay, if we were to have some sort of contest or comparing me between Karen Go and me, well, we're completely opposite different people. So what is it that you're trying to compare? When it comes to comparison, they were doing this because of race. There is no other reason why that girl, Selena Bruce, was used to pit themselves. Why would they pit somebody that young? They were grasping for straws, and she was probably the only one available. That's the only thing I can think of, okay? Whatever, this particular elite group favored this girl to be, I guess, maybe within their social circle, and that's completely fine, okay? Because I don't fall for the Christian bullshit, okay? And I don't really care if she is hanging out with you guys. I'm fine with that, okay? but this situation caused me nothing but nightmare. Now, if they were going to sit here and try to pit me against someone, or if I was supposed to be so jealous of this girl Selena, because this is a rumor that she was sitting here circulating, right? Okay, now it's funny because when I was working at a place called Flourishing Fart, right? There was a girl who was there. Her name was Brittany. Now, Brittany not only had a pretty face, but she had a beautiful body too, and she was just fucking pretty, right? So I went out to lunch with her or dinner with her, and I spent some time with her. Chances are the reason why she was hanging out with me is because she was a perv, okay? But I kept thinking to myself, if they were going to sit here and try to put me against somebody, why didn't they try to pit me against her? Why didn't they try to use Brittany to compare? Because that would have been a better choice. Now, mind you, I don't trip on, what do you call it, being the best beautiful person, because I don't think I'm beautiful. I think I'm just okay. I look at myself in the mirror, I think I'm rather plain. Okay, but see, it's their game. They do this sort of thing, these sort of setups, because they want you to have no self-esteem. This was a part of their shit. And if somebody would do that, I question who would do that. The mentality of somebody who would want to do that. Evil. Okay, now, obviously, okay, you know the kind of person who gets worked up about that kind of stuff are women who believe in romance. Okay, I don't believe in that. I understand that you can have your flings, you can have your love flings, but that relationship is only going to be short term, right? At least in my case. So I'm not going to sit here and try to like fight for male attention. I'm not going to sit here and do any of that stuff because that's not what I'm interested in. Okay, but still, it's offensive to me because I'm sitting here trying to work and take care of myself, and people think it's okay to play racist games at my job. Okay, but this is the demiurge. These are the demiurge few. They love that shit. Okay, so anyway, I decided to stop watching YouTube videos relating to my issue. Why? Because it's usually about the same sort of stuff. Okay, the same stuff. It's always about, and I understand that my situation is similar to a lot of people's situation. Okay, but sometimes I know they're talking exactly about me. Why? Because no one could possibly fit certain things in certain descriptions other than me. All right. Sometimes I know what it is. But then sometimes I also understand that this is a universal issue because there's a lot of targeted individuals. A lot of people right now are blocking other people to get to their jobs because we don't have any systems in place in the United States. Okay. We let the white nationalist people run amok with things like Indeed.com and place job ads, create people, put people in fake relationship marriages, human trafficking and everything like that. This shit is their fucking gameplay, right? But anyway, this is the kind of stuff that's going on, and this is a lot of the readings that are going on. Talking about, these issues, okay? Like I said, there are some of these readings, though, there is no way that they're talking about anyone else but me, okay? But whatever the case is, the reason why I'm done talking or listening to them is because I feel as though the group that did this to me is extremely draining to think about. Okay? To me, that is nothing but demonic shit that is draining to even think about. That's how demonic it is. When something demonic hits your life, it drains and takes away. Okay? I cannot tell you the vortex of demonic energy that I dealt with. Okay? So it's like, I don't need to hear this anymore. I don't want to hear it anymore. It's not helping me at this point, okay? But I do understand that these readers are very good, they're very entertaining, and they're doing a good job helping lift up the spirits of a lot of people. And I think that's important, okay? So I still see value in it. It's just for me, personally, I'm taking a step away from it because it's just gotten to the point where it's like, you know what? I need to go inside. I need to go inside and just direct myself at this point because I'm just right now, the environment that I feel as though I'm always in is always residual energy from these demons. It's always like the same conversation relating to these fucked up demons that I had to deal with. You know what I mean? And they basically poured shit, everything, all over everything. Okay, like I said, these people are so evil. Okay, I don't need to sit here and like wallow in this subject all the time. So, I just don't think it's of any value to me right now to listen to it. So, but like I said, I do see a lot of value in these readers because I feel as though they do a lot of entertaining. They keep a lot of people's motivation up when it comes to giving these readings, and that's important, okay? So it's nothing personal. It's just that, you know what? I get tired of hearing that shit. It's not about them. It's about demons. Okay, same shit. Okay, so anyway, I know that a lot of people are talking about the church cloning thing. Okay, and the reason why it's coming as a surprise is because it never occurred to people to listen to the whole story. It never occurred to people to get the facts. It never occurred to people because you know what? Why? Because people were happy being on a racist like rampage. That's why. Okay, I can't get over that. I can't get over the fact, and I deal with this a lot. The more I put this into perspective, the more it's like, oh my God, I was involved in a genocide plot to that related to white nationalism. It was sick. Okay, that means that, and I'm starting to think about the people who were assholes back in Lancaster. The people that I thought were cool, the people that I thought, seriously, there were some kids that I grew up and I thought these kids are so cool. The way that they looked, I just thought they were cool. You know what I mean? But now I'm looking back and I'm like, I wouldn't fucking deal with those kids. Are you kidding me? After you fucking killed my dad? Oh my God. Oh my God. No, okay, but it's eye-opening. Because what ended up happening is that, I came to the realization that, I, as Stevie Berganza, was a clone already. I was a clone then, right? And I was convinced to clone my father through the church system, right? And then my father eventually turned around and had me cloned. This little generation of cloned people, all created by the church, okay? My father hated it, okay? Now that I have the full scope of it, I fucking hate it, right? And then they created me, right? The goal was to create people, clones off of like other royal type people. Now, I'm not blaming the royal family of today, but I do think that people like Queen Elizabeth and George V or whatever, all these people, I think it's normal. It's a human nature thing to want to have power. I get it, okay? I'm not into it, but I get it. It's like, because people need to find something to find interesting and intense in life, okay? So they join forces with something they shouldn't have done, okay? But this is what the result is, okay? And there's a lot of like celebrity clones and stuff like that. And I've read about this stuff before, okay? But now that I realize this is what happened to me, I'm like, okay, I'm not into the clone thing. Okay, I don't believe in cloning. Okay, I've got my own feelings about it, right? But my point that I'm trying to make about it is the fact that, here it comes the wicked fucking demiurge ideology church people who created my issue, right? As well as my father's issue, okay? And then they turned around and tormented my father to his death, and then they were still attacking me, destroyed my life, okay? Then when I was in school as a little girl, trying to just mind her own business, trying to have friends like everybody else. That's all I really wanted to do, just have a normal life. Okay, they made sure that I would never have that. So they tormented me, and they made it very, very difficult for me to have any sort of comfort or sense of belonging in school. So you know what? I remember leaving school. Okay, so when they come and follow me, and then they sit here and try to penalize me for the same problems that they created. Why? Because they are laughing hyena, demonic, evil, demiurge, whatever you want to call it, representatives of the devil. That's why. Okay, this is the reason why they enjoyed doing what they were doing, and all the people who got involved in it were no different. Okay, because they enjoyed it, and I don't think that they did it. So these people who ended up dead, I don't feel one bit sorry for them. So yes, I would say that at this point, I know I've been talking about Earth being hell for a long time. I remember saying it for quite a long time, but I just recently found out more information which confirms my suspicion that yes, and my belief that Earth is hell. Okay? I mean, I'm very angry that I had suffered for such a long time, and that the people that were in my life were influenced by demons. Jealousy, competitiveness, getting it out of control. It shocks me that my blood relations got involved in this. It's the whole thing, okay? But yes, I do believe that Earth is hell, and to me, this situation it just proves it. Okay, so I know right now the big topics I see on YouTube yesterday. Um, I didn't really watch these videos, but I saw them on the corner of my eye, and there was more than like 3 of them. Okay, but the summary of their titles are basically talking about women who are choosing to be child free. Okay, now I do know that I remember mentioning this video in this topic in one of my videos. I think it was back in 2000. Could have been at the very beginning of when I started making these videos, because I believe I was married to my ex-husband at the time when I made this video, and I was talking about why my feelings on putting the pressure that people put, and I understand what church pressure, okay, and I do know that people like Andrea Yates as well as Susan Smith were people who were identified with being associated with their church, okay, following this particular tradition. Now, I am not blaming all churches, I'm not blaming all religion, okay, but these women, I know Susan Smith, she talked about wanting to have a more of a career, more whatever, and people tend to erroneously think that if a person doesn't want to have children, that they're selfish. I remember my sister Tanya had that opinion. I remember there was a singer back in the 80s. I'm not going to say who, because I've lost a lot of respect for celebrities. I'm not going to say who, but it was a female singer, right? And she was black. And I was always talking about how pretty she was. And my sister made the comment that she didn't like this woman because, she didn't want to have any kids. She said, well, I just think that's selfish. And I'm thinking to myself, now, mind you, I was like 7th or 8th grade, and my opinion back then was like, well, maybe she doesn't want them because she knows she doesn't have it in her heart to love them. And yes, I believe that answer was valid, even in when I was that young. Okay? Because, the thing is like people get, I remember telling my mom, when I was a teenager, okay? Because I went through I want to have kids, playing with baby dolls when I was a kid, and then I went through the teenage phase where I'm like, I don't know if I really can, because I started getting my hands full when I would babysit children, right? I remember babysitting like the next door neighbor kids and some other kids. I did babysitting a lot when I was a kid, make my money that way. And I remember saying, I don't know if I could be a mom or whatever. My mom would say things, stupid shit like, well, you gotta at least try one. Like as if it's a sample pack, or it's like something you can just experiment with. See, and this is the problem with people who have kids and they really don't want them. You know what I mean? If this particular singer that me and my sister were talking about recognized the fact that she didn't have it in her to take time out to devote to that kid, or she felt like she was not going to be emotionally, available, she didn't have it in her to be emotionally available for somebody, that's just being honest with herself. You know what I mean? I mean, there's other reasons why people don't have kids. I mean, there's always the issue of cost. The fact that the economy, the job market's a fucking joke. So it's like, you can end up going homeless. So why would you bring somebody else into that? There's all kinds of reasons why people don't have kids. But what bothered me about my sister Tanya was she had this idea that it was selfish. Now, I don't know if this idea was tied into her Christian indoctrination to where she feels as though, she has to have kids. I don't know. Okay, but I do know that there are a lot of people who have emotional wounds. A lot of people grow up neglected. A lot of people grow up without feeling emotionally stable. And the reason why I can say I feel emotionally stable is because, I didn't have any real emotional connections. And I think that they're important. But I do think when I look at people who've done tragic things to their children, and like I said, I am not in any way saying that it was right. Okay, but I know a lot of women feel boxed in. They feel like there is no other way out. And I do know that when it came to Andrea Yates, she had a religious family that was putting a lot of pressure on her. Now, I'm not in any way, trying to point blame, but I'm saying is sometimes women feel so boxed in. What are they going to do? So the sad part is people like Susan Smith. And I'm going to even include Debbie Downs. I don't know if you guys remember Debbie Downs, right? There's a big list of people who killed their kids. Okay, a big list of people who killed their kids. And it's not right. I will never say that it's right. I was angry when Susan Smith drowned her kids, right? And then ended up blaming it on a black man. Okay, I thought that was sad, and it was disturbing that she would do such a thing. But at the same time, I want to really analyze this situation when we think of people who are being placed in situations that is not their heart's desire. They don't truly feel what they feel like that life resonates with them, but they feel as though they have no other option but to do that. So then she ends up producing some children, and she turns around, she ends up killing them because maybe she felt like that was her only way out. Because really, she desired another kind of life. There is nothing wrong with her desiring that kind of life. It's just that she had already made a commitment. Did she make that commitment because she really felt that that was really where she wanted to go, or did she feel like her options were limited and that's all she could do? See, I mean, I'm just saying is it's like, I'm just saying is like, things are, people should know what they're getting into instead of like, glamorizing things and making it seem as though, it's all a great lifestyle. I think, when I was growing up, the idea of marriage, children, all of that stuff was very glamorized. You know what I mean? And everything made it seem appealing. Nobody ever focused on the nuts and bolts of what it really was. Like things like marriage, things like even, okay, and earlier today when I made this video, I started talking about, people know that I have decided to step off. Like, I step off. Like, I step off of society. Like, I'm somebody who's just like, I choose to observe what it does. And I've been on this kick for a very long time, okay? And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to incorporate this into the Swan Song Manifesto. Until, of course, white nationalists decided that, because they feel as though I'm uneducated, even though they're the stupid ones, they wanted to block me and prevent me from doing this, and whatever. Anyway, okay, I believe that there's a lot of glorification to life traps, okay, and let me explain this, okay, and a lot of it is tied in with commercialism because it benefits certain people for people to be in fucked up situations, all right? So I think perhaps maybe, no, I don't think perhaps maybe, I know, okay? Just because I got a raw deal with the white nationalist people bullying me out of school, okay, and that created a lot of problems for me. That is in no way in me, and see, after all of that, they knew they caused me problems then, okay? They knew they did, okay? So they want to come back and they want to fuck me over some more. This is what pisses me off so bad, okay? But let's talk about education. Now, I have talked to a lot of people throughout my life who were working in jobs that they never thought they'd be in, but they have degrees in something else, but they ended up getting whatever they got, okay? And I also knew people who were constantly in situations where they were renegotiating their college payment loan back, okay? I also know that a lot of people go to college because they feel as though they're going to get some status, because it's a status symbol, and that's pretty much what it is, okay? And the thing is that when it comes to people who've spent so much of college, as well as devoting their time, there is no guarantee, because people believed in the system, the way that these colleges, advertise, and then they also, the misconception of people thinking that, number one, college education plus a person who's willing to put in the time and work equal stability, right? This is what people believed in, okay? And I can tell you there's a shitload of people, and I've seen them on YouTube bitching about it, as well as my own personal observations and conversations, hearing people talking about their renegotiating their debt, okay? Bitching about them not being in the job that they wanted to be in, okay? Not having enough money, and wondering what the hell happened. And having a big fucking debt on top of it. I also started believing that another thing that was glorified and kind of commercialized into some degree was marriage, right? I mean, what was it? What is it about marriage as a kid that made me really want to? I remember looking through catalogs when I was a kid, and I would love looking at the bridal gowns, right? The bridal gowns. And I remember looking at my mom's wedding pictures, and I remember the layout, the spread of the table was like, they had all these cute little petits fours, and these, like, the coordinating, like, table settings and stuff like that. I mean, that shit looks so cute. And I think that's pretty much the only thing at this point that I would think was cool about getting married. Okay? Because I think about some of the conversations that I've had with older people, right? And yesterday, what made me think about this conversation, hang on a second, let me fix something. Made me think about this conversation is because, I remember talking to older people and seeing that them explaining to me that their relationship was really based on convenience. Like I had talked about, when I was younger, I ended up getting the wrong number and started talking to this old lady, and she told me a story about how her family had originally came to Lancaster. They were really poor. Her mom really didn't have room for her at the house, so she had to hurry up and get her married. So obviously this woman had a rough life. She ended up having a kid that she that didn't appreciate her and whatever. Okay, so a lot of abuse went on to those, and then those. And I started thinking about silly stuff too, like how women were very limited in their opportunities back then. You know what I mean? If a woman was trying to go into business for herself, people always like raised an eyebrow to that. Like, and to me that's so stupid. To me, it's like, if you have the mind to do it, why is that such a bad thing? Right? But I do know that men have always wanted to be lording over women. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that is something that was encouraged by Christianity, which it seems like it is in my case. Somebody trying to shove a fucking, kingdom spouse up my ass. It seems that way a little bit. You know what I mean? I also remember, hearing stories about, the things that my grandfather would do to my grandmother, like my dad's family, side of the family, right? And I kept thinking, that sounds, I don't know how that's kind of weird. Doesn't seem very loving to me. So when it comes to, marriages from back in those days, a lot of those marriages I think were based on convenience. You know what also I thought was kind of funny? I remember seeing like episodes of old black and white episodes of things like maybe some of you guys don't remember the show, but I remember watching episodes of it when I was a kid. It's called The Honeymooners, and it had Jackie Gleason in it. And I remember it almost sounded like he was like into wife abuse, because he threatened to hit her so many times. He said something about I forgot that line that he would say, something about pal, right? And the kids are like, why would a man say something like that to his wife? It's like they normalized shit back then. And there's pictures and old ads of men spanking their wives and shit like that. To me, marriage was hell. And it's been hell for a very long time. You know what I mean? At least for me, okay? So I chose not to have it. I don't want to be married. Now, if people understand what marriage is, because obviously it's not about love. It's not about, being googly-eyed and somebody caring for you and giving you breakfast in bed and all that stuff. It's not really about that. It's an institution that everybody seems to want to get their business. They want to be in your business in this institution. You know what I mean? And if you want to have children and you want to have a future to extend your life here on Earth and your family's life on Earth, I suppose you can get married so that you can have children, right? I feel as though earthly life is something that I don't really want to focus on for myself, okay? I'm 53 years old, but if I was like maybe 10, 20 years younger, and I knew what I knew now about how this world operates, about how you can have your employment manipulated, about how people have neighborhood watch things to secretly kill people, why in the world would I bring somebody deliberately into this world? Really? So yeah, I started recognizing life tracks I would say almost 20 years ago, and so I decided I didn't want it. You know what I mean? And religion was something that I had pretty much during that time, a little bit earlier than 20 years. I think when did I walk away from Jehovah's Witnesses? Well, I was like my 20s or so, my late 20s. I don't. I understand society does certain things, and I'm a target individual, and the reason why I have such a negative view of people is obviously because I'm a targeted individual. But I've experienced things, and it's allowed me to see things differently. You know what I mean? But and it's not just my situation. I mean, based on what I've experienced and heard from other people and observed from other people, it just doesn't seem like it's something that I'd be interested in. Okay, so anyway, um, I know that my perps, I'm talking about the celebrities, they pretty much got their ass handed to them, and they're dealing with, they're ashamed and they're humiliated, and a lot of people are losing, they're no longer their fans and stuff. And, I asked myself, am I ever going to be able to listen to music that I used to like? I don't know. Right now, I do listen to a lot of techno music because of my brain activity, because they put me in isolation. And yeah, the demons put me in isolation. I'm gonna refer to these people as demons. Some demonic people thought it was okay to keep me isolated, to keep me inactive, so that I could basically either try to kill myself or so that I could like give up on myself and just whatever. Okay, so these particular demons have done this to me, and so because I have nothing to stimulate my mind, I could get very bored. In order to bring life back into myself, okay, I need to have intensity. Okay, so sometimes techno music, or what they call modern day psychedelic music, these sounds as well as the visuals is helping me get feelings back. Because I will say that because these demons like to perform actions that are based on Nazi tactics, which is slow kill, and I need to reactivate my brain, rewire my brain. And I highly recommend this kind of music or this sort of activity if you really don't feel as though you have anything to think about, because I don't. I don't have anything to think about. Okay. So that helps. Okay. The channel's name is Nexus 604. I suggest you check out his channel if you're a targeted individual. Okay. So yeah, I am somebody who is very knowledgeable about stuff. I have read books on laws, things relating to yeah, laws, and I think that I've studied religion and things like spirituality, and just about everything that people threw at me in like targeting, okay, everything that they said that they were holding against me and stuff. The reason why I was able to talk about these things and talk my way and defend myself is because I had knowledge, okay. And see, the biggest mistake is that's another thing I decided to reject the majority thought. See, the majority of thought believes in certain things that don't make any sense. Okay, I already knew that. I never believed that just because a person had a degree means that they were smart. Now there are some smart people. There are some like what you call eggheads, right? They love that, and they decided to go. Some people have like more than one degree. Okay, but these people are talking about are true eggheads. They're the kind of people who absorb knowledge and they enjoy it. These are the kind of people you see that when they go on like Jeopardy, they do that kind of stuff. Okay, some people truly value knowledge. Okay, and for people like that, that's great. Okay, but the majority of people, they're just using college just as it's like a means to an end. They're not really that smart. Okay, this issue proves it. So yeah, I do. I believe that knowledge is the most important thing that you can acquire. Also, I was thinking about one of my videos when I first started making these videos back in 2015. I got some negative comments on this particular video, and I don't remember the name of the video, but I was talking about how I believe that people are, at least the people that were targeting me, that they were demonic people and they were walking time bombs, right? And I remember getting some negative comments. I even think I got some thumbs down on that video, right? Now, what are people saying? Everything I said came to pass. And these same people who were sitting here like wondering and kept doubting me, kept saying that, I shouldn't be doing this, or thinking that I was in the wrong, now they know I was in the right all along. Okay. Now, but my point is like, when it comes to like these demonic people are spiteful. People are spiteful. And I've noticed this for a long time. This is a part of my, and I think my research is important, and it's unfortunate that I never got to meet people that were honest and that really wanted to help promote or help me grow, my projects. Okay, it's unfortunate that you cannot grow a project without somebody trying to force you into a kingdom marriage. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate that you can't do anything. So it's sad. So, you know, there's a lot of projects I'm never going to be able to release. And I felt as though I would say that my work is, that's like a life's work of philosophy. That's like a life work of observing people. Okay. But anyway, me talking about the demonic nature of people, you know, I have realized that there's a lot of people who cannot, who are just literally nothing but pure evil. I remember having a conversation with this guy, and he was telling me that he had this aunt, right, who seemed like a sweetheart. You know what I mean? And this is my point. Like, you know, it seems like demonic people just want to lash out at decent people for no reason. Okay, so he was telling me the story about his aunt, and as he started talking about it, he's like, "Yeah, you know, she grew her own apples, and she would give me stuff like, you know, apple juice and like make her homemade cider and stuff." And he was saying it like, you know, like fuck you for like her baking him cookies and baking him pies and stuff. He like she thought she was so great because she did all this. And I remember thinking, and I literally felt like, you know, kind of like the chills coming up my spine and feeling like really nervous about being in the presence of somebody that was that dark and just fucking full of spite. You know, some people think that because you do things, you're nice and you give people things. This person performed a labor of love for somebody. She made him something, and he's going to sit here and be like a fucking asshole. Just kind of like how I was a fan, right? An appreciative fan of this person, Libra 14, who decided to fuck my shit over. Just because I was black and I was the daughter of James Calvin Gordon and the rest of the little monkey fucking celebrities that joined in with him. There are people who walk around and just literally hate just to be hating. Okay? And so those same people who didn't like me saying this in my video are coming to find out that this is the way it really fucking is. Some people just want to fuck you just because they can. So I had mentioned, you know, how, you know, when it came to this situation of me being a targeted individual and me being a punching bag for these demonic forces, meaning like, you know, they put me in this situation. I was put in this situation. I literally had very little chance of survival. Okay. And then they sit here and they try to find your weak points. You don't have your bachelor's degree. You know why I'm so fucking behind in stuff is because of you. This is the reason why. They love playing with you. They love the circular shit. And see, this is why I'm telling you. This demonic shit, to me, it's like, it's unreal. You know, first it's a fake religion in the first place, okay? And then because you couldn't deal with their abuse from the get-go, they want to turn around and constantly penalize you for their shit. Whew. Okay, so I mentioned before, you know, I grew up, I remember reading the Bible, and you know how I look at the Bible, and I will say that the Bible has a lot of good things in it. But I also talk about the fact that the Bible's got some stuff in there that I'm just not, okay. There's times where the Bible, the lines seem very blurred. It seems very, very blurred. I've always mentioned the issues about the inconsistency as to who Yahweh, the God of the Old Testament, and then we have like Jesus, who's like kind of different. And I understand that Jesus is supposed to be like a more, what do you call it, to bring more civil behavior to the chaotic mess of trying to understand Yahweh. Because like, for example, Yahweh, at the time in the Old Testament, you'll notice a lot of powerful men that were approved by God, right, were married to more than one woman. Not only they had wives, but they had concubines and everything else. And here comes Jesus. Oh, you can only have one wife. It's completely different, right? We have like, you know, things that are very cryptic in Revelation. Or sometimes I read the Bible and I'm like, man, are you really like of the light? Or sometimes it seems like you're of the dark. You know what I mean? The Bible has been translated in so many different languages. It has been interpreted in different ways. You know what I mean? And missing one word can change the whole meaning of that thing. Just like, you know, when I used to tell, I had mentioned like John 1:1. This is one of the scriptures that was used, with my brother-in-law used to try to convert me to Christianity and not make me want to study with Jehovah's Witnesses. This is many years ago, okay? Because of one word being omitted in that one scripture. That in the beginning the word was, and the word was God. Okay? And so in the Jehovah's Witness Bible, it is in the beginning the word was, and the word was a God. Okay? And so people were like, okay, is Jesus divine? Is he not divine? So then we have all this arguing over who's who. Is this a mighty God or is he an almighty God? Mighty and almighty are completely different things. Is God the Trinity? I mean, all of these, like, whatever. There's so many blurred lines because of all these different interpretations, all these different whatever. Okay? To me, it's like, you know what? Instead of using this Bible all the time, right? It's always being debated, and don't get me wrong, there's times I refer to the Bible. You know why? Because I deal with people who are supposed to be Christians. Okay? And I'm basically saying, if this, where is your foundation? Or you're just, if you're not following the Bible, right, then where are you coming up with your doctrines? Okay? Where are you coming up with your doctrines? Or if you're just making up your doctrines willy-nilly. I think they're making up willy-nilly. But either way, I do believe that Christianity, at least in my situation, dealing with the cloning issue and the little white nationalist demons that were basically trying to kill me and were succeeded in killing my father, I do believe that shit's of the demiurge. I believe that I'm of the light. And I knew that some of these people, my old perps, are getting readings on me based on these YouTube readers. And I want to say that I do appreciate the YouTube readers, okay? But I'm of the light, okay? I know it because I have had spiritual connection since I was young. And I can see by my behavior. I can see by the way that I live my life. I'm of the light, and I believe this. I feel it 100%. And it is not something that, these are my spiritual messages. This is my spiritual way and my spiritual path. You know what I mean? That I'm very proud of. Okay? But I never meant to ever try to cram my beliefs down my throat. The only reason why I'm talking about what I believe is because of I had to. And it was important that I knew the whole issue about the Alamehu, Braganza, understanding everything I knew, everything I studied, including the Bible when I was growing up, okay? Now it has a completely different meaning, understanding this whole cloning thing. Understanding what the church did in their meaning and their entire agenda. Okay? That changes everything. The Bible's already cryptic, okay? But it does change things for me. See? I don't believe that I need the Bible in order to live a decent, wholesome life. I don't need it. I've never needed religion in general to live a good, wholesome life. Okay? So, but I'm of the light, and I believe that I radiate that. I think that I show that. I think it's pretty obvious that I am. Okay? So, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. It was unfortunate that happened to my original video, but it is what it is. I do want to thank the the readers on YouTube, and I do think that there's a lot of fun. Some of them are a lot of fun, but it's not that I don't want to listen to them because they're bad. Because some of these readers are very good. They're very entertaining. It's just the fact that, you know what, I'm tired of hearing about the little demonic situation that, I was stuck in because of the Christian church, because of white nationalists. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. Have a good day. Bye-bye.